I recently decided that I was going to attempt to make a list of all of the ways that I use my iPad. My list consists of about 35 ways thus far. In part 1 of this video, I shared about 17 ways that I use my iPad. Now I am here to share the rest. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new, and welcome to part 2 of every way that I use my iPad. So we're just gonna dive right back in with number 18, gaming. I use my iPad for gaming. Not a lot, but I do enjoy playing spades. I normally play it on my phone, but sometimes when I want to add a little razzle dazzle and I want to opt for a larger screen, I will use my iPad. Not gonna lie, I kind of like using my iPad for a lot of things to pretty much just save the battery on my phone. Next up we have displaying. Now interestingly enough, you can use your iPad as a second monitor or like a second display. I do not do that, but I use my iPad to display a lot of things. Recently, I discovered this cool hosting feature where I create kind of like these welcome graphics in Canva, and then I display them on my TVs. And so the first time I did this was last year, around this time actually, for my friend's bachelorette party. I just put like congratulations or something like that, and I think I put like the itinerary or something up there, and then I got the idea that I was going to create a menu and I was going to display it on my iPad. So we had the screen set up or what have you, and then I got my iPad, pulled up the graphic, and then propped up my iPad in the kitchen by, I think by the drinks or by the food, and I used it as a display for the menu. So there was no need for me to go printing out menus and all that. I literally had like a cute little display, which I use my iPad for. So that's actually one of my favorite hosting tips and tricks. And so I will display that on my TV, and it's just a nice little added touch. And then I will go ahead and create a separate graphic, whether it's the itinerary or the food menu, drink menu, whatever, and I'll just display it on my iPad. Next up, we have editing videos. Now that's probably what I'm going to be doing if you find me, because the editing app that I use is only available for the iPad, which is so random. It's called LumaFusion. I have been using it for probably 3 years. I went from iMovie to LumaFusion. I'm not quite ready for Final Cut Pro. I don't think I'll ever be. So LumaFusion is a step up from iMovie for me, and I use it to edit 100% of my YouTube videos, including this one. Next, we have watching videos / movies. I feel like that is pretty much self-explanatory. Sometimes I will just whip out my iPad, especially if I'm traveling or something, and I will watch videos or movies on there. Now you have to remember, I do not have a laptop, so I don't want to watch movies and videos necessarily on my phone, and I want a bigger screen. I don't normally go the TV route, I just normally go the iPad route. If I'm watching YouTube videos, I'll probably be watching them on my iPad. Next up, we have scanning documents. I do have like a document scanner app on my iPad, so I will scan in documents or turn documents into scanned files or documents using my iPad. That feature is also available on my iPhone, but I normally use it on my iPad. Next, we have creating and editing documents. For the 15th time, I do not have a laptop. So if I'm not on that device, then I'm using my iPad to create and edit different documents. And it may be a Google document, because some of the businesses that I'm involved with use Google platforms like Google Docs and Google Slides and such. And so I may be editing a document on my iPad that way, or I may be creating a document on my iPad as well. So creating and editing documents. Next, we have voice dictating / voice helping. I will call on Siri in a minute to research something for me. How many ounces are in a cup? I know that, but that's the first thing that came to my mind. Can my dog eat X food, or whatever the case is. So I just use it for kind of like research purposes, but yeah, I use it a lot for that. I don't know why, but I do. Budget tracking. I use Notion to keep track of our money and our finances. And so if you come up on me, I probably would be using Notion. I am a Notion girly as well. We are also very locked in. I reference my Notion probably every day. And so I do a lot of budget tracking in Notion. So I may be inputting income or expenses or those types of things. Next, we have tracking books. So I know we talked about journaling and all of that, and I don't really have a book journal necessarily. I just have like a bookkeeper. So I track all of the books that I've read and all of the books that I want to read in Notion. And so my book tracker is very aesthetic. It's a sight to behold. And so I use my iPad for book tracking. Similarly, I use it for goal setting. Again, I normally am using Notion. I might be using the Notes app or my digital planner. I may be setting some goals in there, but probably the case is that I'm using Notion. And so I use Notion for setting personal goals and financial goals, business goals, fitness goals, all of that fun stuff. Next, we have vision boarding. I create a vision board every year pretty much, and I do it right in the GoodNotes app, or maybe I might do it in Canva and bring it into GoodNotes. But at any rate, I do like to create vision boards, and I do those digitally on my iPad. Next, we have passing time / playing. Oftentimes I will find myself literally just playing around on my iPad. I may be scrolling Pinterest to download some photos to add to my home screen or my lock screen, or I may be editing my widgets on my home screen and making my home page look a little bit more aesthetic, or I may switch over the aesthetic from, let's say, fall to winter or from winter to spring. So a lot of times I might just be doing random stuff on my iPad, just kind of like playing around and passing the time. Meal planning. I do our weekly meal planning in Notion if I am the one doing the meal planning for the week. I also keep track of recipes in Notion. Some of them, my recipe cards in Notion are not, like super in-depth by any means, but I do keep track of some recipes in Notion, which of course I will often do on my iPad. Online shopping. I know I talked about casually browsing the web previously, but if I am trying to purchase something, whether it's a piece of furniture or clothing or what have you, I might be scrolling on my iPad. In fact, I probably am, because it's bigger. I like the experience of it, and it keeps me off of my phone. Another way that this is not what ways I don't use my iPad, but not only do I not use it as like a second monitor necessarily, but I also do not use it for text messaging. That's so random, but I do not have the text messages thing set up on my iPad because I simply do not need to be accessible on my iPad. I can write people back, text people back, what have you, on my phone. So I don't need all my devices dinging just because somebody texted me. So I do not have that feature turned on at all. The gag is I do actually answer FaceTime calls on my iPad, but you gotta understand, people are not FaceTiming me all that much. Like, truly, I may FaceTime with somebody once a week at maximum. Listening to audiobooks. I mentioned earlier, I am very much a bookish kind of gal, and I recently discovered audiobooks. And so because the volume on my iPad is much better than my phone, I will be doing something, whether I'm cleaning in the kitchen or what have you, bathroom, doing my hair, whatever. Okay, I don't do my hair, but you get what I'm saying. I could be doing anything random, and I might be listening to an audiobook on my iPad. Scripting content. I am not a huge person who is into scripting. Like, I didn't script this video. I did write down all the ways, but I did not. Whatever I'm saying is just coming off the top of my head. I do not plan for what I'm going to say unless it's a brand partnership. But at any rate, you might find me scripting content on my iPad, and you will definitely find me planning content and planning out my videos on my iPad for sure. Next, we have sharing information with other people, which is kind of an interesting one, but basically what I mean by that is quite literally just airdropping things to people, which I airdrop things to myself, literally just like sharing information with other people in whatever capacity. And then finally, we have filming a video. So I have and typically use a Panasonic camera, and I have a Panasonic app, and so I do have a viewfinder on my Panasonic. However, if I want to see myself a little closer, or I just want to see a bigger picture of myself, particularly if it's like a brand collaboration, because I want to come as correct as I can for those types of videos, I will connect my iPad via the Panasonic app with my Panasonic camera, and then I can use my iPad like as a viewfinder. So instead of seeing myself in the little box on the camera's viewfinder, I can see myself here. Okay, so that is going to wrap up this video. I feel like a part 3 may come in due time, but I feel like I have shared all of the ways. If I were to add more to this list, it would be me being really like specific, even more specific than I already was. A part 3 may come sometime in the future, but as of now, these are the 35 ways that I use my iPad. Be sure to check out part 1 of this video so you can see the first half of the list that I shared. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give this video a like, subscribe if you're new, and if you're liking what you're seeing, and I will catch you guys right back here in a few days in a brand new video. Bye guys.